Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Bhajajanam Yasodanandana Bhajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Om Akinnatimrandasya Gananjana Shvatya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadamayam Darati Swapadantikam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh, they took it off the screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What are we looking at today? Is it CBS News, or is it TV shows, or is it Krishna pop idols? Oh, we're back again. There we are. I think something's going to come on the board any minute now, or on the screen, and oh dear. Probably a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know which one. It looks like chapter 2. 15? 2:15. This is a famous verse, a wonderful verse in fact. One of the verses, chapter 15 or text 15? That's chapter 15. But that's chapter 15. You're in the wrong chapter. Chapter 2. There, you got it. Well, look at this. Amazing modern technology. But does it have the actual verse itself? Oh wow, look at that. Whew. Magic. So here we are. The second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The contents of the Gita summarized. And Krishna is starting off after Arjuna has been somewhat hesitant, to say the least, about his duty and is declining to fight. Doesn't want to do his duty. You can understand why. He gave a lot of good arguments. Can you hear me? You sure? You're not so sure. He's sure, but you're not. Can you hear me? That's too loud. I don't like it so loud. Can you hear me now? Radha Mohan, you need to go to some doctor. What they look after the ears. You've got a problem with your hearing, I think. Can you hear me? You sure? They can hear me, but you sure? Okay. Otherwise, come and sit up here. So he had a good reasons not to fight. His duty is to fight, of course, as we all know. Not something that everyone necessarily has. But that was his duty. That was his nature. But not just to fight, but they would fight to protect Dharma, religious principles, fight to protect the society from various threats or whatever. And he was hesitating, and he gave a lot of good excuses. Huh? From the material point of view, most people would probably sympathize more with Arjuna than they would with Krishna. Arjuna was a nice boy, and that naughty boy Krishna influenced him against his will. At least it seems like it. So at this point, Arjuna has decided enough's enough. He threw down his Gandiva bow and said, I will not fight. But at the same time, he was bewildered, confused, and not feeling very convinced about his decision, and he was open to Kapanya doshopa tasvabhava chamitram dharma simaticheta yashresham nishitam bhuitam eshishastidam sharimam tvam prapanam. He did approach Krishna just before this, said, I'm confused. Anyone ever been confused about what to do? Some small things, maybe big things. But Arjuna, being a very good person, and a very intelligent person, a very learned person also, he wasn't just confused because, he was overwhelmed with whatever, stupidity or something. But he was caught between, let's say, scriptural directions and sentiments and attachments and philosophical arguments and so many things. Sometimes it's a little difficult to work it out. Dharma is a very complex subject matter. We do hear that, especially in this age, it's very difficult to ascertain what is the real, let's say, application of Dharma in so many situations. There are very many unnatural and difficult situations to adjust. This wasn't so difficult in one sense, but all these other factors, particularly the compassion factor, the sentiment factor, the fear factor of the future welfare of society, many things which he considered karmic reactions, the fact that his own guru was on the other side, his personal guru was fighting on the other side, his grandfather, his cousin brothers, all on the other side, and many of his friends, fighting with each other with good chance they're going to be faced with each other in a battle to kill or to death. It was a pretty big dilemma. And so Krishna then began to try to remove his fears, his doubts, his illusions, and immediately told him, Ashoshanam Vashoshastvam Pagyavadam Chabhasase. Oh, Arjuna, you are speaking like a learned man, but you're just a fool. You're speaking like a fool. You don't know what the real welfare is. You don't know what real compassion is. You're seeing everything from the material standpoint. Does that make sense? He's seeing everything from the material standpoint. What does that mean? Pretty much everyone sees that, don't they? In this world. What does that mean, the material standpoint?
He's identifying with...
Yeah, that's the basic root, you could say, at least in this world, is identifying yourself with your body, with your family, with your country. This is the material standpoint. When you identify with something, you naturally become, more or less, that dictates your decisions. Others may also have, of course, a significant role there. But individually, our directions, our likes and dislikes, and decisions even, are based largely around this identification with whatever different body we may have, the country we're born in, even the religion we're born into or we've chosen to follow, if at all. And everything else around us, the people we grow up with and so on, our attachments and our decisions therein are more or less governed by these conditional situations. When we say material, that means more or less devoid of a spiritual perception. In other words, we're identifying with the material world, the material family we're in, the material body, and as we've already seen, Krishna's explained in the previous couple of verses, that Arjuna, one thing you should understand, a wise man does not lament for the living or the dead. Now that sounds pretty callous, is that the word? Oh, we don't care if you're alive or dead. What's the difference? Doesn't sound very spiritual to me. But what does that mean? I don't care if you're alive or dead. Well, that could be one sense, yes, no attachment, but we probably have to say a little bit more about that. That could be a really kind of like person who doesn't care less. But what would we say? What does it mean, living or dead? Are you dead?
No such thing.
There's no such thing as a living?
Well, it's eternal, isn't it?
What's eternal?
The soul.
Is it? He says it's eternal, I don't know. That's the understanding, isn't it? Given herein, anyway. That we don't die. We don't take birth. And Krishna immediately says that, Natvevaham datuna samnatvam nemejanadibha. What did he say? Arjuna, come on. Never was there a time when you did not exist. Never. What do you mean? Never was a time I didn't exist. I've only been around a few years. So what's he talking about? What are you talking about here? Never was there a time when you did not exist, nor I, nor these kings assembled here, nor in the future should any of us cease to be. Really? But, people die. And probably in this battle, millions of people are going to die. What are you talking about, Krishna? He didn't say that, but you can imagine his thoughts at this point. Krishna jumps pretty much in the deep end, doesn't he? He doesn't deal with all the material arguments immediately, in one sense. He establishes a very strong, point here in this verse, previous verse, three or four verses, and the next maybe 12, 15 verses. The most essential understanding, the most essential basis, foundation of everything else that comes after that. It's a very basic form of sambandha, or understanding relationship, understanding the root. It's, you have to have in place before you can understand anything else, really. Whether it's reincarnation, whether it's karma, whether it's all the various challenges that we face. Without this understanding of this point, that you have existed eternally. What is existing eternally? Any logical person without spiritual understanding would say, what are you talking about? Of course this body is going to die. Okay, maybe the material energy, scientifically they say it always exists. It just changes its structure. But the actual energy itself continues to exist. So that's kind of a good point in a sense, because if everything continues to exist, that means we also continue to exist in one way or another. And so Krishna then begins to explain that there's a little difference between the existence of the body and the conscious living entity who happens to be experiencing this body. A very famous verse Krishna speaks. Who knows that verse? One of the most famous. Just 2 or 3 verses prior to this one. Day. Come on. I'm sure some of you have learned verses from Bhagavad Gita. How many of you have studied the Bhagavad Gita? Hands up, come on. I mean, I don't mean, that you're a self-realized soul, but at least you've read it. Has anyone read the Bhagavad Gita? This is too simple, isn't it? You're starting to get bored. Oh, come on, here we go again. A, B, C. I'm hearing the old stuff all over again. Can't you talk about something more interesting? I thought he was going to talk about what it was like in the early days in ISKCON. Well, this is what it's like. And in one sense, we're still in those early days, let's face it. Many of us are still somewhat on the bodily platform of life. We make out as, oh, I've got my family, this, that. Well, we do have to look after our family, of course we do. But sometimes it becomes almost like the major factor in our lives to the moment we die or the body dies. Does it always rain in Stoke? You've ever seen the sun in Stoke? You've seen it? The sun shines in Stoke sometimes. It didn't used to shine, because the sun always shines. You can't always see it, that's the only thing. Night time when the clouds are above us, we can't see it. Perhaps none of you were here, I don't know, but way back in the earlier part of last century, Stoke was the world famous city. World famous for, as you know, pottery. Right? Pottery means what? Like clay, porcelain, different kinds of plates and cups. World famous. The cities in England like Sheffield was steel. And somewhere else was linen. Leicester was hosiery, different kinds of towels and things. And then some places was wool. The whole town would be just producing one thing. Newcastle was ships, boats and guns and stuff. Not Newcastle under Lyme, Newcastle upon Tyne. I came from a railway town. Everyone worked in the railway. British, Western, Great Western Railways. Towns were like that. So Stoke was also a cloudy place, not because of the clouds in the sky, but because of all the smoke, all the steam and smoke from all the potteries, all these chimneys that they had. So many, everywhere chimneys. It was like, it was so smoky. Like everyone was smoking enormous cigarettes. Huge clouds of smoke. Very unhealthy and hardly see the sun. So, cloudy. Anyway, Krishna spoke this famous verse. Begins with day. Come on. What does he say? What did he say? And that was nice, thank you. Sanskrit. But in English, we're in England, so we speak English. What did he say? Pardon? Oh my goodness, you must have studied Bhakti Sarvabhauma. And a Bhakti Sarvabhauma degree, it must be. Oh, that was it. That's all you can remember.
I'm asking.
As the embodied soul,
As the embodied soul continuously passes his body from boyhood to youth to old age, similarly the soul passes into another body upon death.
more or less. So we can see it. There were, most of us are remembering something about our past. Maybe some of you are a little still small, but some are a little older. And we can look back maybe 70 years back and remember our childhood. And it's kind of, that was me. You look at a picture, right? That was me. Here I am when I was 4. That was me when I was 1 year old. This is me when I was 8 years old. That's me when I was 12 years old. Different. And each picture looks like different, But you say it's me, right? It's me, it's you. But what you're looking at looks different. I mean, a baby's body. There's some little children. I don't think any babies are here. Some young girls are here. Where are the boys? There's only girls here, little girls. Where are the boys? No boys. Only big ones. Big boys. So little babies, very small body. But you say that was me when I was 2 months old. Sometimes you see pictures of you. Can't remember it, but they show you a picture. That was you when you were 2 years old. Which me? Now I'm 50 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old. That was me. It doesn't look like me. It doesn't look at all like me. I'm taller than that. So, Krishna says the soul is the difference. The soul, the body is always changing. This whole section. This section is basic jnana. This is not really bhakti. The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is not just knowledge. The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is that we understand who we are, and we understand our constitution, and we understand who is God, and our relationship with Him, and how to awaken that relationship. So Jnana is a basic foundation. Some of you ladies, and all of you ladies probably, are very good at cooking. Generally speaking, I think most of you have a Gujarati background. Most of you, not all of course, but most of you have a Gujarati, or where are you from? Anyone with a Gujarati background? Don't be shy if you don't, or do. Then maybe they don't understand English, I don't know. Are you not from a Gujarati background?
I'm from Kerala.
Kerala, wow, wonderful. And where are you? Oh, you're not from Gujarat, I know that. Where are you from?
Greece.
Greece? Greece, wow, wonderful. These your daughters? Wow, that's wonderful. Oh, Greece. Nice, very ancient culture. Greek civilization is most famous in Europe. And the other ladies here, are they also from Kerala?
I'm from Punjab.
Punjab, oh, nice. There's our mother Mataji, she speak English or not?
Yes, speaking English.
Where from? Also Punjab or?
No, I'm not from Punjab. I'm from UP and I belong to Vaishnav Dharma.
You're from UP and?
Vaishnav Dharma.
Couldn't hear it.
Vaishnav Dharma.
She's from Vaishnav.
Vaishnav family, wow, wonderful. In UP, very nice, thank you. And?
I'm from Kerala.
Kerala also, are you both? Are you sisters or friends? Pardon?
We are friends.
Friends, nice. And all the other ladies here, you're Gujarati?
From Kerala.
Kerala also, yeah. Quite a lot of people from Kerala here. You don't meet them so much, and I don't meet them so much anyway. From Kerala. And you're from Gujarat? And you're also Gujarati background. And on the men's side, perhaps you're married, perhaps your wives are here, I don't know. Are some of you from Kerala? Okay, similar. Four men are, you have a lot of Keralans here. Interesting. Is it like, anyway, whatever. And where are the rest of you gentlemen from? Anyone from Gujarati background? A few. Some are in the same family. And where are you from? Kerala. Punjab. So you're together. Haryana? Ljubljana. Nice. Nice. Ljubljana? Ludhiana. Ludhiana. I thought it said Ljubljana for a minute. That's in Slovenia. Ljubljana. Ludhiana. Nice. Very nice. And you're also from Kerala? Andhra. You're Andhra. You're the sole Telugu here. Huh? No one else from Telugu speaking? Also from Andhra. Nice. Well, pretty all over India. No Bengalis. No one from Bengal. But most of the other directions in India are represented here. Nice. Maybe we come round to that as Gujarati. Okay, anyway, you all have your own different cuisines. But you have to have knowledge before you start, isn't it? Knowledge is not enough. Probably you'll have lunch in about an hour's time. And all they give you is a cookbook. Here's your lunch. This is samosa. This is halava. This is dokra. This is idli dosa. This is paratha. It's not satisfying, is it? But you have to have the knowledge to begin with. How you get it, that's another detail. But you have to have the knowledge. Knowledge is important, but it's not enough. One has to know how to put that knowledge into practice. So Bhagavad Gita is not just about knowledge, it's about how to apply that knowledge in the best way. Human life is not meant to apply that knowledge kamasya nendriya pritya labho jiveti apata jivasya tadvijignas notiyascha karmabhi. Human life is not meant for material sense gratification. That's terrible. I was listening to, last night when I wasn't sleeping, I was watching a video devoted put together in America of the life of a monk, of a brahmachari. Do you know what that is? That means a celibate life. Priyavrata, you know all about that. He lived in an ashram for some time. You were also in the ashram for some time. Celibate monk, that means you don't have any sexual contact. A life without sex, that's like, for most people that's impossible, unreal. And they were interviewing some people on the street. Oh man, no sex. No way. You know, they're like going like this in America. Forget that, I'm not interested in you. Go away. They went in awe. People on the street went in awe. They couldn't see any life or pleasure in such a life of celibacy. It sounds like it's like torture. No drugs, no sex life, no sport or gambling. What is that type of life? No eating whatever you want. You just eat some cabbage leaves and some lettuce leaves and some boiled rice or whatever. What type of lifestyle is this? This is hellish. We've all met this probably. I certainly have when we used to go out on the street in England and try to distribute books, and we were quite young and naive and explain to people that, well, we don't live like that. We follow regulated principles. We don't eat this, we don't do that, we don't do this, we don't do that. And many times people say, oh, God, I'd rather die than live like that. I'd rather die. How do you, and what's the point of living? They don't know what the point of Jivasya Tadvijignas. The purpose of life is to inquire into the nature of the absolute truth. That should be the goal of our work. Not to inquire how to achieve material success, but how to get free of the material concept of life. How to get free of it, not how to make it good. It's like you're in a dream and you're just trying to make the dream nice. Just wake up. You don't have to worry about the dream anymore. So here Krishna just, Arjuna hasn't woken up, but he's hearing this knowledge. He's hearing, Arjuna, try to understand, you are not your body. All the happiness and distress which you're experiencing, Matta Sparshas to Kuntiya, the next verse he says it, Matta Sparshas to Kuntiya, Shitoshna Shuka Dukada. Is a result of simply this false identity. Because you contact something and then you react accordingly, happy or distressed. It's not really there. It's just your identity with it, and therefore you experience attachment, and consequently happiness and distress come along. Try to understand. This is basic ABC. Practically nobody has grasped the ABCs, what to speak of the rest of it. You're not the body, Arjuna. So he starts off with Gyan, and of course he'll gradually come into other levels, and other angles. So he talks about karma, and then he connects them with yoga, and then eventually with bhakti and so on. But here we're just hearing basic knowledge. If you're or most of you are from Indian descent, and and even an ordinary person on the street, a beggar on the street knows this. I'm not the body. I'm a spirit soul. I'm eternal. Not the body. He understands it. Within the body is a conscious living being. I'm eternal. That is what is eternal. At least in terms of the conscious person. But people in the West, even, they may be big philosophers, they may be big religious practitioners, but hardly do they understand this point. Hardly. Very basic thing, ABC. And even that's hard for people to relate with. So today's verse, O best among men, Krishna says. O best among men, Arjuna. Krishna speaking to Arjuna. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Previous verse, Krishna says you have to learn to tolerate this duality. You can't stop it. We try to, but you can't. Try as we may, happiness and distress come. The innate duality of this world is what is. It's constitutional. Everything has a constitution. Later on, Krishna explains the constitution of this world. He describes it as Dukkalayam Shashvatam. Dukkha alayam, a place of suffering, Shashvatam. Everything's temporary. Everything except for the soul appears temporary in this world. The forms that we have, the objects of our attachment, everything comes and goes. Comes and it goes, just like the winter and summer season, Krishna just said it. We become attached to summer, and then we cry when the winter comes, or whatever. We become attached to people, then they go, and we cry. But it's the nature of this world. It's meant to be like that. Sounds a bit rough, sounds a bit cruel. But why? Because we don't belong here. We're not meant to be in this dream-like world. Thinking with this, thinking with that. One lifetime we think this. Even in the very lifetime we're in, people change their identity, isn't it? You can grow up Even religious people may change radically their so-called religious faith. Sometimes people change their sex, or they say they do. Kind of. You change your job, you change your wife or husband sometimes, unfortunately. You change your country, you change, so everything's changing all the time. Broad level, on a very local level, but this is the nature of this world, nothing's permanent in that regards. And Dugalam, everything is unavoidable suffering there, it's the constitution of this world. Turmoil and annoyance. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master called it a place of turmoil and annoyance. We can see now, at least in this age in Kali Yuga, how troubled people are. Very troubled, despite all of their efforts to advance in civilization. The one thing for sure which is advancing rapidly is mental disturbance. Everything else is a question mark. But mental disturbance is certainly accelerating considerably. People are disturbed. Very disturbed. It's Kali Yuga, Mandasa Mandamatayo Mandabhagu Padruta. In this age of Kali, men are short-lived. We think we live a long time. How long? Kirtan, how long are you living? Where are you going?
I'm just going to check on puja.
Going to do puja?
No, checking on puja.
Oh, checking on puja. Okay, good.
She's okay.
He's checking on the puja. Here she comes. See, she come to check on you to make sure you're okay. I think she's fine. There she is. That's good. There's a responsibility, but naturally our mind is attached to the family and so on. Yes. So what did I ask? A question just now? What did I ask?
How long do you live?
Huh?
How long do you live?
How long are you going to live? How long are you going to live?
No idea, Maharaj.
No idea. At least that's a fairly, you could say, a little humble answer. Anyone else like to say how long you're going to live? Forever. Oh, you're a Hiranyakashipu's follower, I can see that. You must be worshipping Hiranyakashipu, is it?
Not in this body, though.
Pardon?
Not in this body.
Not in this body. Okay. That's being very high philosophy now, my goodness. I thought it was this body you went to heaven in. Sometimes people, they do, they make it look like this body goes to heaven, you know. Why? Because they have total lack of understanding of their own identity. They only know the body. No realizations. So that's another angle. Yes, we're going to live forever. We never really die. That's what Krishna just said. What he's just basically saying in this section of Bhagavad Gita, you never die. Only the body dies. The soul lives forever. Pretty basic stuff. And here he's explaining that, you know, the reason you feel duality is because you identify with the body. The soul, all this duality is superfluous. He said, Anartha Pashamam Shikshat Bhakti Yoga Hoshajay. That the sufferings or the miseries of this world have nothing to do with the soul. Now, if you ever watch the television, I'm sure most of you have, if not all of you, and you know, when you identify with what you see, you get affected, don't you? Isn't it? I mean, sometimes it's pretty radical. I mean, you get really affected. You completely forget. It might even be a fiction. It may not even be a reality, but you get so caught up in it, you know? And you start to think and behave accordingly. You can get quite angry or quite, you know, frustrated, or you can get quite lusty or quite whatever, emotional about what you see. Sometimes people go really, whew, they lose it just by watching or even reading sometimes, especially watching something on the television, because you identify with it. You know, maybe it's, most of you are Indians, so Imagine if India is playing Pakistan in cricket. You can get quite emotional, most Indian gentlemen. Maybe not the ladies, but the gentlemen get very emotional when India's winning or losing or whatever it is. Because you identify with it, you get worked up. And people even fight over this, you know. They'll punch each other and do all sorts of things. And it's kind of, you could say that's something which appears to be happening, but when you mind the step, ladies. Boy, that was almost are you okay? You almost fell over there. I don't know what you can do about that step. Because when you come in the door, you immediately look forward, you see. You don't look down. You get the point? And you don't notice that you're immediately in front of you is a step. You be very careful. Mind the step. Like a ramp or something. They're supposed to have a ramp for the public, people in wheelchairs. That would make it a little safer for everybody in one sense. It's not a very big one, 1 meter long. So, yes. This identification with something. If you have a pet dog, even your child, okay, puja. Kirtan,
Yes.
you like cricket?
Yes.
Okay, another honest answer. He's a very honest man. He's willing to admit. He's willing to admit that he likes cricket. So say you're watching cricket on the TV, your daughter's sitting there, and you're getting very excited, right? Is your daughter getting excited? Does she have any identity with cricket? None. It means nothing to her. If she is, it's because of something else altogether different. What's going on the television is meaningless to her. Meaningless. To you, it means everything. Sometimes it's more important than anything else on the planet. At least at that moment. Because it's false identity. And we become happy or distressed simply because of that. So this is a basic jnana. If we can understand our true identity, automatically the problem is solved. Even fear. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes nicely in the 11th canto, how fear is simply due to identifying with the body. There's nothing to be afraid of. But because we identify, we're afraid of losing something. Losing our position, losing our life, losing our job, losing our family, losing the match, failing in your exams, losing our good name. We're all afraid of losing one thing or another. All this is because of this lack of understanding, lack of knowledge in our lives. Krishna consciousness means to become not just some nice stories or some theories. It means to realize our identity. All problems are resolved. There is no problem. It's just falsity. False identity. Ahankara. This is the cause of the problem. So Krishna's making it very clear. Arjuna, you are not your body. You are spirit soul. Then I'll explain what the business of the spirit soul is, but that's not being discussed now. Prabhupada says, it's interesting here in the purport, steady in both. Most people aspire for happiness. But one who's steady and, okay, tolerating suffering, but steady in happiness. Most people want happiness. They want more and more. But one has a little realization it's not disturbed in either. I was listening to Prabhupada talking the other day. He was talking about Socrates. Now, Socrates was from Greece, wasn't he? Famous Greek philosopher, right? Socrates. And Prabhupada was quoting him that for whatever reason that he was tried, more or less sentenced to death. We're going to kill you. And, how can you kill me? You don't know who I am. You have to find me first. He wasn't disturbed. He was somewhat spiritually realized. He realized he wasn't his body. He's a living entity beyond it. You have to find me. How can you kill me? You don't know who I am. You think I'm this body? That's up to you. Do as you wish. Prabhupada says, anyone who is steady in determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. Means freedom from this dream, waking up from this dream, realizing your spiritual identity, freedom from birth and death. In the Varna Ashram institution, the ancient systematically structured societal organization, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyas, is a painstaking situation, but one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulty. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships, naturally it's very strong, to give up the connection of wife and children. We have to do it eventually. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. That's unusual. He had a different reason. He's none other than Krishna himself, so he had a different purpose. And his dependents, young wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage. So that is the meaning of this. Sannyas is not just an order of life, civil dead man, as they say. No, it's a state of consciousness. State of consciousness is not just giving things up, it's giving up the concept that they're mine, that this is mine, and understanding that everything belongs to Krishna. Like we had this nice dunking. You know the word dunk? What does dunk mean? I think there's a shop in Leicester called Dunk. I saw it yesterday. What does dunking mean? Come on, you're Indian, you have your tea and biscuits. You dunk your biscuit in the tea, right? It becomes nice and soft and tasty. You dunk it. You put it in the tea. When we say you dunk in, it means you're dropped into the deep end or something of the water. You know? You're dunked in there. So when I joined this movement, we were kind of dunked in there. Everything all at once. Overnight, you know, boom. Detachment overnight. Literally, on the spot. You had no possessions whatsoever from one moment to the next. One minute you come in with your bag, your money, your hair, your clothes, your shoes, and various other items, property, thinking, you know, I've arrived like in a hotel or something. The next minute you have nothing. No hair, no money, none of your own clothes. Everything becomes communal. I remember I bought a Krishna book with me. I purchased one already. That's what I think when I arrived and I put it in the box, which had a little box for your things. I never saw it again after that. It was the last time I ever saw it. Everything was like that. Even your beads, nobody had their own beads practically. Underwear, no one had their own. It's all communal. Everything was communal. Everything belongs to Krishna. You can't say anything is mine. And that was it, you know. You had nothing. You never waited. What a life. I mean, it's just like, gosh. and giving up everything. Whatever money I had, I gave it, and that was it. Never had anything. And no security, nothing. You could materially speak. Yet, it was amazing how happy everybody is. Peaceful. No anxieties. We had no mobiles in those days. That helped. Everyone was so enthusiastic, and those who wanted to take up Krishna consciousness anyway. So happy, detached, you could say. And that's okay, that's living in an ashram. Living at home is a different situation. And practicing this very same principle, that Hare Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to me. This principle, Ishavashamidam Sabam, Yatkincha Jakacham Chachut, Tena Chaktena Bunjita Mugadyos, Kashispadana. To know that everything, material or spiritual, everything belongs to the Supreme Person. And to utilize everything in His service, or in the way it's meant to be used. Not independently. Learning how to use that body and mind, the material energy in the way that will help to establish our relationship with Krishna. This is the purpose of the teachings of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Vedic teachings, human life. And we were like, really, it was like all happening at once. Those earlier years in the temple, it wasn't the slow process that we go through now. It was just on the spot. And when I joined, the first day I moved in, I'd already practiced for some time actually. But the day I moved into the temple, one devotee, you may know him, his name is Sambanath, a Scottish devotee, lives in London, near the manor. He shaved my hair. He joined before me a few months. He shaved my shaved my hair off. He asked me where I was from. I wasn't from Stoke. If I was from Stoke, okay, just say I was from Stoke. This is back in early 72. He said, where are you from? I said, I didn't say I'm from Stoke, but just imagine I did. I'm from Stoke. Oh, really? That's what he said to me. We don't have a temple in Stoke. Maybe next week you can go and open a temple there. Whew, wow. After 1 or 2 weeks, you might be ready to open a temple. That was the idea. Pretty bold, huh? Fearless. Because we have all these identities, we are fearful. When you just identify with Krishna, do what you want with me, my Lord. I'm your servant. There's nothing to fear. Just like a child, when it's with his mother, it doesn't have any fear. Right? Or father. The child's crying its eyes out, scared, stiff, feeling lost. Then when the mum or dad comes along, picks the child up, very soon the child feels secure, safe. No one else can do that. Only the parents. I guess we felt protected by Srila Prabhupada, spiritual master. And at least to some degree, at least sentimentally, we had faith that Krishna will look after you, don't worry. And He will. Simple. Like a simple childlike. This is what it means. Like being childlike. The child completely depends on the parents and nobody else. So when we completely depend upon Krishna, then you feel complete fearlessness, secure and happy. Not very difficult, simple philosophy. Well, our time has expired, and I didn't talk much about the early days. So much could be said. Early days make it very nostalgic. The real principle is the same. Every one of us, man, woman, wherever we're from, in India or elsewhere, Greece, England, wherever we're from. Principle is the same for everyone. You have to come to this understanding, the real understanding of sannyas, which is not giving up things. Nibbanda Krishna Sambandhi. Rupa Goswami describes how real sannyas is to utilize everything properly. Try to live your household life in a way which is pleasing to Krishna, without too much attachment to thinking this is mine and for my enjoyment and so on. But we don't give up things that can be used in Krishna's service. We may give up things which are of no value. At least we don't know how to utilize them, or they're detrimental to our spiritual lives. But generally we try to utilize everything in Krishna's service, understanding he is meant for his pleasure. This is renunciation. Not just giving things up, no. Money, everything can be used in Krishna's service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Wow, you're so loud. You have such loud voices. I need some earplugs. Can someone bring me some earplugs, please? That was too loud. I could barely tolerate it. Let's see if you chant a little quieter. Come on. Come on.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I couldn't hear anything. The first time you chanted, it was almost blew my eardrums out. Once more.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That's the wake-up call. Wake up. And that's the process. It's not just a call to wake up, it's the process of waking up. And even when one's woken up, Satatam Kirtiyantamami Tantascha. Krishna says, you won't be able to stop chanting. It's spontaneous. So the chanting of the holy name and the spirit soul is said to be the only really two. I mean, many names of God are there, of course. It's a general term. Are eternal. Everything else comes and goes. Even your karma kandya activities, temples, everything else comes and goes. But the song, the chanting of Hare Krishna, these are eternal factors. This is, you could say, inseparable aspect of our relationship with Krishna. Hare Krishna. So apologies if I didn't satisfy your hankering for some interesting stories or some exciting events or whatever it may be. Pretty dry philosophy. Try to make it a little bit interesting, but it's basic. Prabhupada more or less focused on this subject most of his preaching, most of his lectures, isn't it? Maybe, embellished, of course, with all kinds of other factors, but the root of most of Prabhupada's lectures were based on this because we still not realized we're not this body. We still haven't realized who we are. It's nice to know what the goal is, but we also have to know where we're situated and how we can get from where we are to the goal. If we haven't realized we're not the body, or at least one should be acting in that understanding, we have to be reminded sometimes. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita is for the apprentice. It's beginning. That's the whole Bhagavad Gita, not just this section. It said it's for apprentice. You know what an apprentice is? They still have that term, apprentice. The kind of someone who's learning underneath somebody who knows. They're called apprenticeship. They're not fully working yet. They're just learning. They haven't got the job yet. They're just preliminary stage. So he said Bhagavad Gita is for the apprentice. beginning. ABC for most people, this is pretty high stuff, but it's actually the beginning. First stage. Spiritual life only starts here. Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. Very nice to be here in Stoke. To be honest, I didn't really see much. We were so tired after the kirtan and what have you last night that I just basically woke up when we got here. So I didn't really see. I know a little bit about Stoke and Hamley and this one and that one. I didn't miss much, as they say. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So Maharaj, thank you very much for your class, Maharaj.
Pretty basic, anyone could have done that. Even the newest Bhakta could have probably spoken a lot.
So, Maharaj, you owe us the stories of early days of Hare Krishna, so in your next visit, it will be very good to hear from you.
In this lifetime or the next?
Next week, Maharaj.
Next lifetime.
So, Maharaj is very, very kind to us. Right now, he's preaching in France, in Mayapur. We have a wonderful community there. And Maharaj is trying to revive.
I spent about half my time, a little bit more than half in France.
So, Maharaj has come to Stoke for the first time, and reached again when I was in the UK. Maharaj likes to, one of his many services, one of the many important services, he likes to do Harinam. Harinam is that you go out on the street and chant Hare Krishna in the street. And Maharaj is so expert in bringing everybody in chanting Hare Krishna. I'll just share one story with you, probably Maharaj will remember that. Some years back, we were having a Harinam in the town called Intoxicator, we had a retreat.
Intoxicator, yeah, we're all intoxicated there. Intoxicator.
And it's a very small town, hardly anybody was there in the town, and we were doing Harinam. And we ended up being in a very quiet street, nobody was there on the street, and we were about 30, 40 devotees doing Harinam in that street. And we didn't know why we were there in that street, but we were there in the street.
We took you there, that's why you were there.
And then there was a kind of a big gate, and somebody came out of the gate and says, "Can you come please inside?" So we all went inside. And it happened to be a bar, a pub.
It was a pub with a garden, they had these kind of garden areas outside the pub, and hundreds of people all gathered inside there. That's where they all were.
So we didn't expect that there's a pub here, and they just they said come inside, and for some reason we went inside, and then they liked our chanting, and we chanted for about 10-15 minutes there, and then there was a big stage. They said, "Can you go on a stage and chant with the stage?" So here we are, we are on the stage. Maharaj is in full form, he's chanting Hare Krishna, and we are all dancing. And the drunkards like to dance as well, so they're also dancing.
With their beer jugs.
And then he says, we thought it was a time to go now, so we were going, and then the old man says, "Can you please stop for a minute?" So we all stopped on the stage. And one drunkard came on a stage, and he had a big picture of beer in his hand. He took us the mic and he said, "Hare Krishna are the best thing in the world."
Your best religion in the world, best religion, Hare Krishna.
And all these audiences, yeah! So that was the power of Maharaj,
Well, then he said something else. He was a football supporter. He supported Birmingham City Football Club. And he said, "Can you say a prayer for my club? If we don't win today, we're going to go down." So, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And I did actually, just for the sake of interest, check it out, and they survived. They actually won. So I guess he thinks pretty highly of the Hare Krishna movement.
You didn't save them last season, though.
Huh?
You didn't save them last season.
Oh, he didn't ask us last. Is that, we should have gone there. could have helped. I don't know. Whatever.
So these are
So funny.
stories of
It was so
Maharaj
funny.
all over the world. So Maharaj, we really like to be here with us, as soon as we can, and please bless us and bless us with your, wonderful preaching.
We have a nice facility here. It's very good. Thank you. Hope you can grow and offer this facility for more souls. We'd like to see the people of Stoke more and more getting this opportunity, if they want it, that is, to venture on this path. A little bit of, where real happiness lies within. In Taoism, they have a saying that the Creator has hidden happiness. He's hidden it away in a place you'll never look. You won't find it on the land, sky, water, anywhere. He's hidden it in your heart. Nobody ever looks there. They look everywhere else for happiness. First, they don't have a godly concept, but they have an understanding of this much. Yes, happiness is the nature of every spirit soul, but we're covered, we're forgetting that, we're looking in the opposite direction. All you get when you look in the opposite direction is a reflection. If you simply look in the mirror and think, that's me in the mirror, how much pleasure can you get out of a reflection? Or a shadow? Very little. Only an illusion. Material life is like that. It's like a reflection or a shadow. It's an illusion as far as the reality of the soul goes. It exists only in a reflective form. What we try to constantly, I used to have a little budgerigar. His name was Paul. We gave him the name Paul about 70 years ago, almost 65, 70 years ago. And this little budgie, you put a little mirror in their cage, He was constantly pecking at the mirror. Flies, you see them constantly going for the window, trying to get through the glass. But this was a mirror, so he could see a budgerigar in the mirror. And I'm convinced, even then I was convinced, the poor little fella doesn't know that's a reflection in the glass. He thinks there's another bird. He could spend half the day just pecking away at the mirror. That's what we're doing, we're just pecking away in this world. It's just a reflection. Trying to enjoy this body and whatever pictures come before us. Try to enjoy them. There's no depth of pleasure there. Real pleasure is the soul, Satchidananda. Living in his Anandamaya Basat. We're looking for pleasure, but the pleasure is within our very being and our relationship with Krishna. That's when it really becomes fully fulfilled, when we relate with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So this time we'll do a kirtan now. So stand up. We'll have kirtan for 10-15 minutes. And after that we'll prashadam for you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.